Congratulations on the purchase of your RDX 400. Let's open up the box and start the assembly process. As we look into the box, you'll notice that you've got your owner's manual pack. Your scope will be right on top. You'll have a couple bags here with your main assembly bolt, Allen wrenches, and some quiver mounting hardware. And then down below, you can see the arrows, your SDS block and century bow hanger, and your quiver will be down in the lower part. Well, let's get it unboxed and get it put together. Now that we have everything unboxed, you'll see that we have our main assembly bolt and Allen wrenches, our owner's manual pack, our quiver bracket and the Picatinny mounting rail there, our SDS block and century bow hanger, arrows, and the scope. To start with, we'll go ahead and get the SDS block mounted, and then we'll put the Picatinny quiver bracket on. So you'll take your SDS block, and it's going to go right on the riser rod here. And just get that seated on there. Then you'll take your main assembly bolt and two washers. You want to put the lock washer on first and then the flat washer. Go ahead and put that into the middle of the SDS block. Should be able to tighten this quite a ways just by hand. And then once it snugs up, grab your Allen wrench. You do want this connection snugged up pretty well. You don't need to over tighten it, but you'll want it snugged up. Pretty firmly. There we go. Now that we have the main assembly bolt tight, we'll go ahead and mount the Picatinny rail. To start, you're going to have two set screws, and we're going to put those in to the SDS block. They'll line up with the century bow hanger. Go ahead and get those in by hand as far as you can, and then just snug those up with your Allen wrench. Your Picatinny rail then will drop right on top of that. You want the Picatinny rail going back towards the bow, and it will fit right back over those set screws. Then you have your two nylock nuts. Those will go right on top of those set screws as well. Go ahead and start those by hand. They will not go in very far because they're a nylock nut. You will need to snug those up with a crescent wrench. And we're good and tight there. Now, you'll have your quiver and block. You'll notice that the quiver mounting bracket has a thumb screw. Go ahead and back that thumb screw out until the threading is flush with the inside of the bracket. Then you'll just slide that bracket onto the Picatinny rail. You'll want to make sure that the hood of the quiver does not stick out past the century bow hanger. So we're good there with clearance. Tighten that thumb screw down. Your quiver is now on good and tight. We'll flip the bow over and we'll get the scope mounted. The first thing that you want to do with your scope is just, you'll see the nuts on the side of the rings. Go ahead and loosen those most of the way. With this particular bow, for proper eye relief, you want to have 2 to 3 slots empty. So we'll want to drop that first ring in on the 4th slot on the Picatinny rail. The best way to put these on is kind of rock them from left to right and drop it into the groove. You'll pull out the blocks on those rings, and then you'll feel that scope drop into the groove on the Picatinny rail. Tighten down those thumb screws. Make sure they're snugged up by hand. And then those nuts do have a hole drilled through the side of them, so you can take, you could use a crescent wrench, but you can take your Allen wrench as well and go ahead and snug those up that way as well. And I like to kind of alternate to make sure I don't bind the ring up. And we're firmed up there. And that completes the assembly of your RDX 400.